Hello YouTube, I'm Tallman Brad, and in this video I'm going to be taking a look at a brand new mod that makes editing maps that little bit easier. It's by Zipcore and it's called Maptoolz. So this software isn't for making maps, it is for editing existing maps. So if you're not happy with certain aspects of a map that you've created using either Alpha 20's built-in random world gen, or perhaps even KingGen or Teragon or some other software, then you can use this to extract the things you need to be able to edit them. Now, the problem we've got with the system at the moment is that the files, like for example the splat files, are pretty complicated. They contain alpha layers, which are quite hard to work with, and it really does make the whole process that little bit awkward. So this tool makes it easier for you. What it actually does is it will create a workspace folder within the world that you've created, and from that you can pull out each of the layers of the map, if you like, and edit them at your will. Then the tool will convert them back to the correct format so that your map is playable without too much fuss. Alright, so how do we run it? Firstly, to install the application, you're going to need to go to the link in the description. It will take you to this address, and here it is here, Maptoolz. And you can see the version that I've got at the minute there is 1.1 for Alpha 20.x. So if I just click on that, down on the bottom left-hand side, it's telling me that it's downloading it. Once it's downloaded, I'm just going to say show in folder. There it is there. If I open it up, we can see inside, there's the Maptoolz folder. Now, it works like a mod. So as with any mods, what you need to do really is to open up the folder and check you can see the DLL file. So we go back one from where you can see the DLL file, and that is the folder that we want to move over to our mods folder. Now from here, if you just go into your C drive, I'm going to open that as a new window so I can have the two side by side. Very useful. And in there, I'm going to go into Program Files 86, down to Steam Apps, Common, and then 7 Days to Die and Mods. Inside of the mods folder, you can see I've got mine empty just to make sure that there are no conflicts, although this does work with other mods. I have tested it and with no problems. And then I'm just going to simply drag that over into there. And that's it. From there, we just start up the game. For the sake of the demo, I'm just going to create a new world. So I'm going to go into Editing Tools and say Random Gen Previewer. I'm just going to reduce the world size. I'm going to set everything to default. We'll give it a seed up to test 5 and generate world. And there we have it. A few moments later, there is the completed map, and it doesn't look too bad. As normal, I don't like the biome layout, but that's something that we can fix. But you can't do that without using this tool. So what else can you do with it, and how exactly do you use it? Well, before we go any further, we need to actually start up this map because we have to initiate a game on the map that you've just generated in order for 7 Days to Die to finish generating all of the files. Make a mental note of the name of the map that you've made. So mine's Zezu Mountains. I'm just going to go back and back again, and then I'm going to start a new game using Zezu Mountains, and I'm going to call that test 5 and just say start. And we don't actually need to play the game, we just got to load up the map so it can finish building all the other files that we need. So now that I've loaded up the game, I can just quit out of it and go back to the main menu. And from here, I'm going to pull up the console with F1. Now at this point, we need to find our ID number for the map that we want to export. So in order to do that, we just type in map export, and it will give us a list of all of the maps that we've got available to us. And the Zezu, however you pronounce it, is number 7. So you've got a lot of information there, and it can be quite confusing. But the thing that we're actually interested in is just the number, not the hash symbol, but just the actual number. So I'm going to type in map export again, or alternatively, I'm just going to push the up arrow to bring up the last thing that I typed in, and it was map export. And then if I put a space in, and then number 7, because 7 is the number for the map that I want to export. And then I'm just going to hit enter, and you'll need to wait a few moments for this to do its job. Now the game does appear to freeze. You can see the cursor's no longer flashing and the menus aren't flicking as I wander over them. Some files have been exported to Zezu Mountains /workspace. So let's have a look at that folder. As I mentioned at the start of the video, the Maptoolz program isn't actually a GUI fronted system. It just creates a folder that contains files that you can easily edit. So where are these files? Well, you can't get to them by just going into your C drive and programs files. You need to go into File Explorer, and in this window up here, just give it a little click and type in %app data % and enter. Then go into 7 Days to Die, generated worlds. There's our Zezu Yasso Mountains. Open that up. Inside of there, you'll see all of the files that Alpha 20 has made for us. And if you've done this correctly, you should see Splat 3 processed and Splat 4 processed. That means that you have started a game. If you don't see those files, go back and start up the game first. So inside of this workspace folder is where we'll find the files that we want to edit. Now, I'm just pausing the video for a second because I must add at this point that if you plan on uploading your map to a server, then you must remove this workspace folder before you do that. Don't upload your world to a server when it still has the workspace folder in place. So inside of this workspace folder is where we'll find the files that we want to edit. Open that up. There we can see biomes, the height map, the grayscale height map, and also the road network. Now, this network is not the roads that go through cities, but these are the roads that connect the cities and towns and wilderness POIs. So if I want to make some changes here, for example, I want to edit the biomes, I'm just going to right click on it and say open with GIMP. Now you use Photoshop or even Microsoft Paint if you want to. There it is there. Very quickly, I'll make some changes. If you want to see a slightly more in-depth look at how to change the biome and some tips that I've got on making it a little bit more authentic, then check out the other videos on my page. They are KingGen tutorials, but the actual map side of it, in GIMP in particular, is still relevant. So I'm just going to pick a solid tool. I'm going to make sure the hardness and force are both up high and the opacity is up high. And then I'm going to pull up some of this color because it's important that you get exactly the right colors for this to work. So let me click on the color swatch there. I'm going to use the eyedropper to suck up some of that color. Just change my brush, and then I'm going to make my brush nice and big. And then I'll just make some very basic changes here. We'll just make that a bit bigger in the middle, maybe something like that. And then I'm very quickly also going to do this, which I quite like, which you'll see in one of my other tutorials. And here's a very quick tip for you. If you change the spacing on the brush a bit higher, you can hold down the button and just drag it along. And that's just going to give me a really nice transition between biomes instead of that sudden line. Okay, enough of that. Let's say we're happy editing that. We'll go to File, and in GIMP, you use Export As to save it. Your software may differ. It's suggesting the name's biome PNG, which is what it actually is already called. So we'll say export, and it'll put it over the top of the existing one. Yes, I want to replace that. And I don't need to change anything in here, just export. Once that's finished, I'll close this down and ignore the warning message that comes up there. So if you have a very quick look at that, we can just check. Yeah, you can see that's the one that I've edited slightly. So while we're here, why don't we have a quick look at editing the splat file as well? So I'm just going to do a right click on that and say open with GIMP. There we go. We'll change back over to that solid brush. And I want to change the shape of this road. I'm going to put something on that corner there. The roads, these narrow roads, are around about 4 pixels. So I just drop that down to 4 there. I'm going to click on the color swatch, the eyedropper, and select that shade of green to make sure it's exactly the right one. And then from there, I can just draw on here. So I'll just do something obvious. It's maybe a little bit big. It might be a 3. That should stand out on the map when we're looking at it. So if I'm happy with that, I'll just say File and Export As. It's already got the right name in. Export over the top, yeah. Not changing anything in there, just click Export. And when it's done, we'll just close it down, discard the changes. Okay, well, let's go back into 7 Days to Die, back into the console. If it's closed down, just hit F1 to bring it back up. And then this time, instead of saying map export, we're going to say map convert. space, and then the number 7 to tell it to convert that Zezu Yaso. In my case, yours might be a different number. And a couple of minutes later, it's finished processing. So let's test it out by going to continue game, Maptoolz test. I'll say start. So before we see the results, I'd really appreciate a like if you found the video useful. There we are back in the game. So F1 DM for the debug menu, H, and we'll fly up to, where are we going? The north. There we go. I can already see there's the swirl that I added. It's pretty good. Quite happy with that. And we'll just find the biomes. There, you can just see that transition there with the biomes. You can see that that's worked as well. So there's one last thing that I'd like to show you here that's very useful also. After you've converted back your files, the Maptoolz software will generate this additional folder called preview. And if I go inside of there, we can see previews in different stages and the different layers of the map. And for example, there's our full map. Now, I know that Zipcore has said that in a future version of the software, this will also include things like the terrain to give you an idea of the heights on the map. And we can have a look at the cities and the POIs, and also even the water. Okay, well, if you found this video useful, I'd really appreciate a like. And why not check out my channel for other tutorial videos? Now, a lot of them are focusing on KingGen, but don't let that put you off, because there is still some useful information in there, particularly the sections about using the photo editor. All right, thanks again. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.